Welcome to the class, children. Open your English textbooks and very good morning to you one and all. Now open your English textbooks and open on the page number 152. I think all the syllabus for yours is over. Left behind is only this part. That means the journey to the top. Journey to the top means here in this chapter or in this portion they are given something about those who are goes towards to the topper positions or what their achievements will be given, and if you are knowing about their achievements, how the women are going to be achieved from their own, you are knowing about that, you are also inspired about that for doing the things much better into the earlier what you are going to be done. Okay, now pass on to the page number 152. Here they are showing some picture. Have you seen this lady or this woman from your TV or from your newspaper, or have you heard something about this woman about, and have you seen about that Salumarada Timmaka, or have you heard something about Salumarada Timmaka? She was very famous for going to grow the plants and the trees and making the trees for the shelters. Likewise, she was popular towards to their own. And now we pass on to the lesson. She was married to a landless laborer Chinnappa. See here, observe, he was not having any land for him, and she was going to marry the person. His name was Chinnappa. He was not having any land along with him, and they made their living tilling land and cutting stones. He was making for the living purposes. He made some others land, making use of others land, and he was go on tilling for getting the food, and also making for some money for from the cutting of stones and beating of stones, and making likewise he was going to earn the money. They did not have any children, but here they are having a family, but they won't have any children among them, and they won't have the children. They decided to adopt trees and plants are playing. If they are not having any children, they won't think about to the children. They are thinking about for adopting about to the plants or the trees for their sons and their daughters. And likewise, they were here. The Timaka was spending all her time planting saplings in open spaces, and her wish was always making the thing or making the time will be precious. She was going to consider the open spaces as their family, as their home, and she was plant a sapling in on open spaces on government lands, and also she was planting the trees on government lands also, on the outskirts of the city and on either side of the roads. And why she was going to be plant a tree on outside of the roads or either side of the roads? Because after it becomes very bigger and bigger, it gives fresh air those who are walking along with the roadside. In the earlier, some of them are going to be grown the trees along the roadside only, but in the earlier there is no transport facility will be there. Some of them are going from one place to another place, or some of them are going from one village to another village. They walk through by the walking only, and if they are having some thirst, they will sit below the shades of the tree that should be appear side of the beside of the road. Likewise, she was also going to be planted trees or the saplings beside the roads. The nearly 4 kilometer stretch between Ulikal and Kuduru. She was going to be plant the trees or the saplings from 4 kilometers from Ulikal to Kudur. Is a testimony to her effort. This was her testing effort. She was planted, and when she was going to be planted the saplings or the trees, she can't let leave the trees or the saplings. She can pour the water daily, morning and the evening, when it is going to be protruded or when it is going to be become the tree. She was pouring the water with the tumbler or with the help of the utensil. She was taking the water from far and far away from the places. She was taken the water and she poured the water towards to that of trees for growing. And she also planted and raised more than 8,000 trees. She has already planted 8,000 trees. She was given the Indira Priyadarshini Vriksh Mitra award. And also, she was going to get something about the award Priyadarshini, Indira Priyadarshini Vriksha Mitra award. Who is that Indira Priyadarshini? Means here it was the name of the Indira Gandhi. And she continues her work even today and truly loves nature. She was going to becoming to plant a trees now also, and she now also going to get the planting the trees also. And coming on to the second part, have you seen this picture? She is the great dancer of born into a Tamil Nadu or a Tamil family in 1964. She was Sudha Chandran. She was the great Bharatanatyam artist, and at the age of 3, when she was the age of 3, she started dancing. She was going to be started dancing at the age of 3 only, and she was started dancing on her own. She was not taking any guidance from the other. She started from her own and seeking the dedication. She was going to spend her dedication towards to the dance only. Her father took her to the famous dance school in Mumbai. Here the father was observed about the activities of that Sudha Chandran and how she was interested towards to the dance. He was knowing that, and he took her towards to the Mumbai for making her as a dancer, for giving the extra cost in that Mumbai, and he joins that Suja Chandran in Kala Sadan. By the age of 17, when she was joined, after the age of 17, she had presented 75 stage programs. When she was going to become a dancer, she gave the stage performances, and she was given 75 performances on May 2nd, 1981. Note this date and note this the year. On May 2nd, 1981, she was traveling with her parents in a bus and met with an accident. This is the tragedy that was going to be took place in her life. Means accident was going to be happen in a bus mishap, and in that she was going to let loose on her right leg, and it was injured critically. It cannot be useful for further. Likewise, it is injured and had to be amputated. Amputated means it was removed. Removing of her right leg also, she can't lose her ambition towards to the dance. He cannot lose her ambition towards to the dance was going, and she was always wishing to do with the help of one leg only. She was practicing the dancing. And here Dr. Sethi, a specialist, Dr. Sethi, a specialist in artificial limbs, got a foot manufactured for her. And that doctor was observed her interest, and he was going to manufacture the special artificial limbs for her for making the dance. And for making use of that artificial limbs, she resumed dancing practice. And making use of that, she was going to dance as usual, but where the legs was cannot be stretchable and it cannot be foldable on that artificial limbs. But she was making the dance after the improvisation of the legs, artificial leg was going to be took place, and now she was received Nritya Mayuri and Navajyoti awards. In the earlier the Salmarada Timaka was getting as Indira Priyadarshini Vrukshmitra. Here she was going to get the Nritya Mayuri and Navajyoti award. She has proved to the world that despite a disability, one can reach the peak of success. Here she was showing that disability cannot make any difference, and if we are having the will power and we are having the confidence to do some work, we are going to achieve very clearly, and we are making use of that thing, we are fulfill all the things what we are going to be happen. Likewise, she was going to reach towards her success, towards the peak of the success. Now pass on to the third point. Here you have seen something about the IPS officer. She was the first lady of the ranking woman. Her name was Kiran Bedi. She has been India's first and highest ranking woman. Kiran Bedi was the first and also highest ranking woman officer who joined the IPS in 1972. She was going to be joined towards the IPS officer. Here, IPS means Indian Police Service, and she was joined towards to that job for the police service in 1972 and retired in 2007. See how she was going to be dedicated towards to her police force. During her 35 years of creative and reformative policing and prison management, he was spent more than 35 years for her creative work and also for the policing, and she was maintained about to the prison management or controlling about the prison management. She has received many awards. Also, as we are observed earlier too, she was also going to get some awards, and a film entitled Yes Madam Sir has been produced by an Australian filmmaker on her, and some of the Australians were making the film on towards the Kiran Bedi, and she was the tough officer in her period, and when she was going to give many more, getting many more awards for herself, and she was currently, she has been in the vanguard of a nationwide movement, India against corruption. She was going to fight against the corruption, and she was going along with the Anna Hazare. He was also started a movement for the anti-corruption squad. For that, she was fighting against that corruption, and now also Anna Hazare was going to be started some movement for the corruption. After that, the Delhi's CM and another fellow was going to be adjoined with Anna Hazare, and now the Kejriwal was becoming started a AAP party, and now he was become a chief minister of Delhi. She was, and after we are going to observe another person, she was the lawn tennis player. Her name was Sania Mirza. Here she was born in 1986. Sania Mirza was born in 1986 in Mumbai. She began playing tennis at the age of 6. Here she was, the dancer was going to be started dancing at 3. And here this Sania Mirza was started her playing at the age of 6. She became the first and only Indian woman to reach the fourth round of a Grand Slam tournament at the 2005 US Open. She is the only Indian woman to reach the Grand Slam fourth round Grand Slam tournament because she was going to be win all the medals and those who are competitive and those who are having held, and after that she won a tournament held at US Open that should be held on 2005. She was grabbed that medal in that tournament. She is now the highest ranked female Indian tennis player. Now she was in a highest ranking position in a female line, not in male line. She was the female line, she was the highest ranking line tennis player. She is also the recipient of Arjuna Award in tennis for the year 2004, and she was going to get the Arjuna Award. The greatest award will be given to the sports personalities that she was going to grab it in the year 2004. Likewise, how the women are going to be achieved and what are the things they are going to be happening and how they are going to be getting the awards. We are seeing that, and we are also encouraged from learning about those who are done in the earlier, and we think about that the four personalities of the women, how they are going to be achieved in their own way, and we are also thinking that how why we can't do like such thing. And if the encouragement will be given from your parents, you can also achieve in your own way, and you can also do something good for the people, those who are the following or the followers of you. Likewise, you can give some contribution towards to the government or towards to the nature. Okay, thank you children.